We need to understand a few background pieces of information about these brachas. Firstly, let's understand that in the original takana of Chazal, there was no bracha given for a woman. There was only the bracha for a man. That's going to be very, very important. We'll come back to that in a minute. Secondly, that bracha for a man was placed in Birchas HaShachar. Now, if we divide the davening up into 4 major sections, Birchas HaShachar, Psukei de Zimra, Birchas Shema, Shema or Birchas Seah, and the Shmoneh Esrei, each one is an ascending level of ruchnius. If you want to get Kabbalistic, Keneged, each one of the Olamais, Olam HaMaisa, Olam HaYitzira, Olam HaBriya, and Olam HaTzilus. Shmoneh Esrei, finally we turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the highest level. It's significant to note that this bracha is in the lowest level, the level of Olam HaMaisa. It's reflecting a particular dimension and aspect of man. It was never intended as a whole statement of what man is, or what woman is for that matter. The particular aspect that it's focusing on in Birchas HaShachar are the physical aspects, the Olam HaMaisa of man. Man in his Olam HaMaisa, Pokeach Ivrim, who has sight, Hamechin Mitzadei Gaver, who has the strength in his legs, who can sit up in the morning, who can stand up, who has shoelaces to tie, who has clothes to wear. In that context, we talk about the fact that man also has more Lamaisa mitzvahs than a woman. That's Roib Meforshim say that that's what the bracha is going on, the fact that man, most of them say, is chayav on mitzvahs asher shazman grama, and some also add Talmud Torah. In that aspect, it's a privilege that man has those particular brachas, those particular chiyuvim. Woman does not have it, for reasons that are beyond the particular discussion. Let me just mention the klal that has to be understood here. The klal is that if there is a chiyuv on somebody, 2 conditions have to be met. 1, that the person needs a particular tikkun, and 2, that he gets the tikkun from that particular Maisa mitzvah. Therefore, if somebody is not chayiv in a particular thing, it means at least one of 2 things, or maybe both. The person either does not need the tikkun, or they do need the tikkun but they get it from somewhere else, or both. Be that as may, men make a bracha on that extra chiyuv, and women either don't need that or they get it from somewhere else. Now, women, in turn, don't get a consolation prize. Chazal will not be taking a bracha from women. The bracha that women make is a bracha that the Torah says, and that's the earliest time that I can find it mentioned, is a minag, woman, hanashim, nashim, noagos loimar. By the time of the Shulchan Aruch, that minhag had become a chiyuv, and it says nashim oibros, that it already becomes something which women were obligated to say. It seems that in some mysterious way, for which there does not appear to be an explanation, women invented a new bracha for themselves. And that gives a totally different slant and understanding of what we're talking about. There is no other bracha in the history of Yiddishkeit that was ever created spontaneously, in whichever way, historical way it came about, other than this particular bracha. That in of itself gives you an insight into the spiritual creativity, the spiritual power of women. We'll stop here, although Advarim Aruchim Ma'od, that's the basic framework for answering this question. 3, why do women dress modestly? Or have to dress modestly? We have to build up a concept of tznius before answering the dress issue that takes us firstly away from dress. Tznius is a much broader concept, And it's a mistake to begin with the concept by dress because people tend to get stuck on that and not move further. And secondly, we have to take it away from being a concept which is exclusively a concept for women. Although women have a special capacity for tznius, and their situation is complicated in the dress area by the fact that there is a musag of a concept of erva, nevertheless, the concept of tznius is clearly a fundamental concept for men and women in Yiddishkeit. Micha, in the pasuk says, "Ki ma'ashem doresh mikem ki im aseis chesed u'mishpat v'atznei aleches im Hashem Elokecha." Micha gives us a key to three fundamental principles through which we can reach Kol HaTorah Kula. And in that key, tznius is mentioned as one of the three fundamentals, not just another idea in Judaism. What is tznius? Tznius is the ability to defocus from the superficiality of the world and to reach the real essence of any situation, the spiritual underpinnings of any situation. Tznius can apply to a concept, it can apply to a person, and it can apply to an event. Ma'amad HaSinai, in the first round, ended in tragedy. The luchos were broken. The Tanchuma says the luchos were broken because the convulsions of nature, to the point where there was cross-sensory pollination, led to people seeing sounds and hearing sights, and that was a slight distraction from the core spiritual event of the luchos, and that slight distraction led ultimately to the Chet HaEgel. Luchos Shnius were given b'tznius, which means they were given without any of the distractions of the superficial physical reality. There was absolutely complete silence. Nature was stilled. It allowed people to focus on the internal dynamic of what was happening, and Luchos Shnius was not only given by Kodesh Baruch Hu, but was able to be received successfully by Klal Yisrael. Give another example. On Yom Kippur, the holiest of days, in the holiest of places, the Beis HaMikdash, when the Kohen Gadol does the culminating act of Avodah, he goes and he takes the Chatzis HaPnim into the Kodesh Kodeshim. And everybody is waiting with bated breath to see whether there's going to be a kapara for the entire nation on that day. And at that crucial moment, he disappears. And we can imagine that if the President of the United States was doing something which was going to affect the whole world, they would probably take the largest stadium in the United States, I don't know what that is, Shia Stadium. CNN would beam to billions of people. It would be the most public event possible. And here's the Kohen Gadol doing something of far greater significance. And yet he disappears. He disappears so that we will focus absolutely and entirely on the internal spirituality of the event and not get caught up in any physical actions which the Kohen Gadol might be doing, any distractions by actually seeing him. And so tznius is a principle which goes throughout Yiddishkeit. Somebody who does not have a midah tznius will not have a relationship with spirituality. Since spirituality is hidden in the world, somebody who does not use tznius will not be able to uncover that hiddenness and focus on it. It applies to men and to women. Clothing is just but one expression of that. And I should point out that B'nai Torah wear clothing begidrei tznius more or less in the same way, covering the same parts of a body than a woman does. In fact, Talmid Chacham, Rosh Yeshiva, and certain Hasidic groupings do this across the board, wear a long coat, a long bekisha, which the Maharal explains is the levush of a Talmid Chacham because the pants and the shirt show the shape of the body. The long coat covers even the shape of the body, an extra dimension of tznius applied to a man. Women dress modestly because men dress modestly. Women dress modestly because they, like men, use that as just one of the many expressions of their capacity to relate and operate spiritually. There is sneers of language. We use sensitive language. A person who uses foul language, if you'll think about it, is using words that are explicitly physical. And a person who uses foul language to curse somebody else is reducing the other person's stature thereby by associating them with a physical reality. And in fact, psychologists have showed the cathartic effect of cursing somebody out using foul language in the same way as if they might have hit them, because they reduce their stature thereby. Torah Jews don't use foul language because they never want to reduce another person to be associated with something explicitly physical. And the Rambam in his Moreh Nevuchim says that we don't even have certain words for very physical things we use borrowed terms. So tznius is a fundamental midah and is not just a dress code.